Yo, it's NXT time, August the 5th. A middle of the road episode of NXT that featured some really funny things, but mostly it was one of those filler episodes of NXT that was used to build up other things. So it has some good elements, but it also has some BS in it. But we're going to get into it. NXT is always a fun watch because even if it's ridiculous, it's still fun and ridiculous. Match number 1, Mariah May versus Kelani Jordan. Kelani Jordan wins the match by countout because Jordan Grace crashed the match and chased Mariah May out into the parking lot where there just so happened to be a car waiting for her. They couldn't even make it even a little bit realistic. They just had to have the car right there immediately. Very bizarre. Don't know why they did that. Shouldn't have done that. Anyway, they announced that Mariah May will be fighting Jordan Grace at Heatwave, even though Jordan Grace is still walking around with a neck brace on, so they kind of preparing you that Mariah May is probably going to win that match. Meanwhile, Kelani Jordan is going to get in a tag team match with, it's going to be her and I forget who her partner is, but they're going to wrestle Fallon Henley and JC Jane next week. Because JC Jane was mocking Kelani Jordan for winning a match by countout. Alright, they're really treating JC Jane like a workhorse. I would, it's interesting, I guess. JC Jane's got a lot going on. She's actually going to wrestle Ash by Elegance for her TNA Knockouts title on Thursday. George Iceman, who is the concierge, he is so good, man. Like, he got a great voice for this thing. He is absolutely a guy I would bring into WWE and put him with like a Bombat. Like, he would be great with like a Mariah May or if Eva Marie was still around or something like that. He would be great with her. And that's kind of what his role is with Ash by Elegance. It's tremendous. He's really good. He got a great voice. I think he's a radio guy or something. And that's where they got him from. But he's really good. So she's going to be wrestling Dana Brooke. Man, that's going to be interesting. That's going to be interesting, I promise you. But she's got a lot going on. Andre Chase is out there with his boys. They got a tag team championship match. I just now noticed that Uriah Connors, I think he is Finley's boy. Finley had 2 sons that's in wrestling. Of course, the bum that's over in New Japan. And this one, Uriah Connors. I didn't know that. I didn't really put too much thought into it until now. His real name is Brogan. Yeah, Uriah is better. Uriah is better than Brogan. I mean, it's a tougher name, but he's only 22. Could you imagine being a baby named Brogan? God damn. Oh my God. That sounds like a name you would give yourself if you was like some kind of truck stop, guy. Like if you was like if you worked at a place where your shirt gets stained every day, I would expect your name to be Brogan, But this guy's a pro wrestler and he doesn't look nothing like Finley either. But I had to look him up, so that forced me to pay a little bit more attention to this match because I wanted to see if the guy was any good, but he really isn't because he's really just getting started. He hadn't done a whole lot. But so this is David Finley's little brother. It was alright. Anyway, it was a botched finish because Hank and Tank actually had did the correct finish on Chase U, but the guy's shoulder came up. I think it's Kyle Dixon. His shoulder came up. So they had to do the finish all over again. They had to start it all over again to get the finish. And so after the match, Dark State jumped Hank and Tank and Chase U, beat them both up. Hank and Tank will be wrestling Dark State for the tag team championships at Heatwave. Then there was a promo segment where one of the members of Dark State said, and I quote, "We've been on your ass for a while now, right up your butt, and I promise you we're going to stay right there until you just can't handle it. We're going to stay right up your butt." Look, man. Pause. All right? Enough's enough. You got to chill. You're way out of pocket. This is sexual harassment. You out of pocket. We weren't even done with Dark State. Dark State then popped up again later on. They jumped Moose, Javon Evans, Obafemi, and Trick Williams after their promo segment and got set up for an 8-man tag next week. So they're really trying to do a hard push on Dark State. This thing is not working. It's probably one of my least favorite things in NXT is this Dark State stuff. It's been going on for a while now, and it really ain't got no motion. If they were going to make them the tag team champions, they should have did that a long time ago. At this point, these guys have lost a whole lot of steam, and now they're living butt plugs, according to one of the members of the group. They're not even individualized at this point yet. I don't think they worked a single match. I'm talking about a singles match or anything. It's just been 8-man tags, 6-man tags, and tag team matches, which is it's fine, I guess. But they need to break this group up because the main line of the men's division need more bodies. They need more personalities. Dark State is just 4 people grouped together with nothing much going for them, if we're being honest. Next, Tavion Heights and Miles Bourne are both happy for each other. Tavion Heights is glad Miles Bourne set the standard for him and looks forward to Miles Bourne beating up on Lexus King, which he does. He beat Lexus King in their match. Not much to this. It was a long match, one of the longer matches on the show. Probably too long, if we're being honest. Izzy Dame, she believes in Tatum Paxley, thinks Tatum Paxley can make history and win the championship, the North American title tonight. And this is the main event. Tatum Paxley and Sol Ruca for the NXT North American Championship. It was a really good match. Tatum Paxley has some of the best offense in the company. I'm talking about the entirety of the company. Sol Ruca is still carrying 2 championships, even though Dave Meltzer told me that WWE Speed has been discontinued because there hasn't been any new episodes recorded or any new episodes uploaded to X, Twitter. But maybe it works in seasons. Maybe this season is over and they're going to start recording new episodes next season after they do, storylines and things like that. Because I think Speed works with tournaments and all that sort of stuff. So maybe they'll be running again. But Sol Ruca is still carrying around her Speed Championship. Let's say, for instance, that Speed is done for. It's over. They're not getting paid by Twitter to have a Speed anymore. They should still keep that belt. I think it was a cool idea to have a sort of television championship because WWE doesn't really have that. And that 3-minute time limit can lead to some really interesting situations, some really interesting storylines that you could do. It's not 15 minutes like a traditional television championship. It's only 3. And I think if it replaced that goofy-ass Heritage Cup, it could be fun, especially on NXT. So I would suggest, even if they did get rid of it, that she should keep the Speed title. The crowd was doing the wave in this match, except for when they were doing the wave during the Becky and Lyra Valkyria match, just because they were uninterested. They were doing the wave in this match to support Sol Ruca because she's a surfer, so it makes sense. Zarya and Izzy Dame started having arguments outside the ring. This led to Izzy walking over towards the culling, and then Sol Ruca doing an incredible moonsault onto the culling, which is pretty cool. Later, there was a twisting springboard press by Tatum Paxley, which was absolutely phenomenal. Jesus Christ. This match was almost ruined. Well, actually, it kind of was ruined. I'm not going to lie. Because Lash Legend and Nia Jax, who had began fighting earlier in the night and were fighting throughout the night, came out during this match and crashed through the barricade after Tatum Paxley had hit a net breaker from the top rope and looked to be on the verge of winning. She was distracted by Lash Legend and Nia Jax and caught a soul snatcher and lost. Now, I'm going to criticize this finish for multiple reasons. One, I don't think we needed Nia Jax and Lash Legend to come out there and cause a distraction. Enough with the distractions, man. They're doing run-ins to such a ridiculous degree that they're even starting to have people who are not even involved with the story doing run-ins. Like, I get it. You wanted to try to come up with some kind of creative way where Tatum could hit this big move and it not be the finish. Come up with something else. Come up with something simpler than that. How about Izzy Dame, who's already out there? She pulls the referee's leg or something. Anything. I'm not Izzy Dame, Bizarria. Something. Anything. Just having run-ins for the sake of run-ins. And then it got more convoluted because Izzy Dame gave Tatum Paxley a doll. I don't know what she gave her the doll for. It was just another distraction. It added nothing to the match. It only just leads to Paxley losing. And then also, I think Soruka got up a little too soon after a top rope net breaker. I think you got to let that one sink in for a little bit. And she seemed to have got up pretty quick. It was only like a couple of seconds. It's not long enough. Soruka is not really big on selling. She's like all offense. She hasn't really been forced to get in there and sell and fight from underneath. And her strikes don't look that great either. But that's, she's in developmental, so she's developing. But Soruka is tremendous and a worthy main event for this show. Thea Hale got a nice little spotlight. She wrestled Nia Jax. The match was longer than it probably should have been. Thea Hale got a lot of strikes in, but not much else. There was one spot where she clotheslined Nia Jax, who was on her knees, and she still took a bump. And I'm talking about Thea Hale took the bump, and she was the one who threw the clothesline. She did get one really good offensive move in, which was a tornado DDT. But other than that, she pretty much got beat up the whole match and sat on by Nia Jax. After that, Nia Jax got into the ring and said any ring she steps in is hers, and that she's a former world champion, while Lash Legend ain't done nothing. Lash Legend charged the ring. This was funny, because she charged the ring, cutting a promo. You want to call yourself the irresistible force? Well, yeah, Lash Legend, blah, 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 blah. And then she just jumped in the ring. Like, the promo just got garbled up. Like, I don't know where she's even going with that, but I think she got to the ring quicker than she had planned to. And this, of course, would begin the brawl that would begin for the rest of the night between these two. They're going to have a match next week. Not in Philadelphia where, people could pay to see Nia Jax, but next week. I guess they don't want Nia Jax to leave Florida. They don't want to pay for her to go anywhere. Ariana Grace is chatting up Stacks backstage. She's kind of got a crush on him. It makes sense. They're boyfriend and girlfriend in real life, so it makes sense for them to be involved. Stacks fought Inamura on this show. I didn't want to see this. I like Stacks, but Inamura is just, no. Ariana Grace came out there to distract Inamura. She ended up slapping him right in front of the referee. The referee used his discretion to not disqualify Stacks for the Ariana Grace slap. While the referee is trying to get Ariana Grace to leave, and Inamura gets back in the ring and he's attacked from behind by Josh Briggs. So we got 2 run-ins for this match. Then Stacks beats Inamura after Briggs jumps in. At least the run-ins made sense here. They're telling a story when it comes to Inamura and Briggs. They're also telling a story between Stacks and Ariana Grace. They're starting to put them together on TV. I think it works. They have pretty good chemistry together, and I say that most men are improved dramatically by putting a woman with them. Sometimes a man just gets some aura from hanging around a woman. And Ariana Grace has needed something to sink her teeth into for a long time now. So I'm glad she finally got something here. All right, so Obafemi cut a promo. This ended up being a really long segment, so I'm going to truncate it. Obafemi said he's beat everybody. Trick Williams says, well, I'm carrying 2 brands. Why not me? Why can't I be the guy that take that title from you? And Obafemi said, because you can never beat me. So Javon Evans comes out there, called Trick Williams goofy, said he wants the biggest dog Obafemi, and that Trick Williams can barely carry the TNA championship. He wants a one-on-one with Trick Williams and for a number one contender spot. Obafemi was okay with that. And then Moose showed up. Moose wants to challenge for the TNA title in 10 days at the TNA pay-per-view Emergence. And he also ain't forgot that he lost to Obafemi and said he kind of want a piece of him too. So while all these Negroes was in the ring, arguing amongst themselves about championships, because there's 2 different championships here, Dark State crashed it and attacked them, but they beat up Dark State. So what was the point in Dark State coming out there? I don't understand. Again, Dark State, no point. There's no point to their existence. So from this whole argument, which ended up being pretty funny, Javon Evans is getting a little bit more comfortable on promo. Trick Williams is amazing. He remains amazing. He's only getting better when it comes to promos. And so is Obafemi. Obafemi is really good too. He even dropped his accent to mock Trick Williams a couple of times. Let's talk about it. It was a really fun promo segment. It seemed like these 3 guys have dominated the NXT main event scene for, I guess, almost a year now, hasn't it? It's been several months where the most worthy contenders to the NXT championship have either been Trick Williams or Javon Evans. It feels like we've done this dance to death, and they're not done, because in Philadelphia they're going to do Trick Williams versus Javon Evans in number one contenders match, and that's good. I really hope that this leads in a double title match and not in Javon Evans beating the TNA World Champion. I mean, do we really want people who claim that they're not going to watch this stuff anymore complain that the TNA champion lost to Javon Evans? I think a better option is probably to put both belts on Trick anyway, considering now he's a proven success story over in TNA, and he's a proven success for NXT as well. I don't think 2 people needs to hold the same title, so that's why I don't want this. But do they have any sort of creative way to get Trick out of this storyline? I don't think they do. And Trick Williams as a character, his pride won't let him move on. Even though he technically has the bigger prize, he's a world champion, a recognized world champion. He really shouldn't care about the NXT title anymore. But his ego won't allow Obafemi to continue walking around like he's the big dog. It just won't happen. So it makes sense that he wants to close that book. And he wants to beat Obafemi for the first time. So unless they're going to do that and double belt up Trick, they need to abandon ship on this Trick Williams Obafemi thing. It's been going on for too long. Also, Booker T is trying to put over Moose. Booker T, I respect Booker T, but no. I'm doing that Keem Olajuwon. No, not in my house. Fuck Moose, okay? He's a bum, okay? Bring Leon Slater over to NXT. Why we gotta deal with Moose? I don't want Moose over here. Charlie Dempsey, he's down in the dumps. He's kind of depressed, actually, because the NQCC is over. But Ren Sinclair is still there, and she says that, now they have some quality time, just the 2 of them. And she said, what makes me feel better? Dempsey was like, nope. And she started singing the Joe Hendry jingle, I believe in Joe Hendry, and she claps. And this son of a bitch jumps out of the refrigerator. Bruh. It's the State Farm shit, bro. She summoned him like a genie, man. This is hilarious. That was good shit. That popped the hell out of me. Me and my brother both popped off that one. If they're going to start doing that every week, this dude's going to be a meme all over again. And the people, the work raiders are definitely going to be pissy. They're about to treat this guy like the State Farm characters, bro. Oh, that's tremendous. Anyway, he has some spare clothes in the refrigerator that he gave to Charlie Dempsey who refused to wear them. He had an attitude. about this whole thing. Of course, this ends up with Joe Hendry going to have a match with Charlie Dempsey. I think it's next week. But this was truly hilarious. Charlie Dempsey called him, he said, you want to be viral, but that's too close to being a virus. And he called him a virus. That was pretty funny. Okay, next was another funny scene. We got Ethan Page. Ethan Page is out there. He's about to sing the Canadian national anthem. And Tavion Heights, I was like, yes, it's about fucking time, man. Tavion Heights comes out there, cuts a promo, calls himself a weapon in human form, and says it's time for him to break out of NXT. Just like he broke out of the NQCC. I was very excited because I am a big fan of Tavion Heights. At this point, Chelsea Green crashes the party because she's Canadian. Ethan Page is Canadian. And she agrees with Ethan Page, and that said that Ethan Page is an inspiration to all Canucks, and that once Ethan Page got a fight with a moose and made the moose apologize. I mean, she just really laying it on thick. Then she said the best Americans came from Canada, and he is the greatest Canadian, second only to herself. And she came out there to sing "Oh Canada" with Ethan Page. But Tavion Heights is basically in the way. So then Tavion Heights is pacing. He's got an attitude. Chelsea Green standing there with Alba Fire and the fat one. And she dares Tavion Heights to hit her. Of course, Tavion Heights won't do it. He punched Ethan Page, who was behind Chelsea Green. And then said he's going to find a woman to handle Chelsea Green. And this is, of course, leading to some kind of mixed tag situation here. But I love this. I thought this was really fun. Chelsea Green came out. She's so good at cutting a promo. She's great. And I really didn't realize how close the gimmicks were between the two of them until she came out and started doing her thing. And I was like, well, wait a minute. This is basically the same fucking gimmick. And it's true. It is basically the same fucking gimmick. Here's the thing. Ethan Page's Canadian championship looks fake. It doesn't look real. It's like a giant plate. Not even like like the tag team championships of old that were like big pennies, or you call it big nickels, big pennies. No, this one looks like a commemorative title that was made up for WWEshop.com. It does not look legitimate whatsoever. It's folded way too perfectly. It looked ironed. I can't stand that belt. I hate it so much. I don't know what to do. But I do like the idea of Tavion Heights and Ethan Page. I love that. I think that's tremendous. That's really good. What girl is going to end up siding with Tavion Heights? Well, I think Carmen Petrovich might be the one. Now, here's the reason why I say Carmen Petrovich, because I think she is Canadian. And that's makes sense to me that, I think Carmen Petrovich is Canadian. They could go in a different direction with somebody, but I'm thinking of all the girls that it would probably make sense. I think Carmen Petrovich, due to the Canadian element. Well, is she Canadian? Let me make sure. I was right. She's actually Bosnian, but she's from Canada. So if they want to use a storyline with like Canadians, I think Carmen Petrovich might be a good choice. Especially if Chelsea Green's calling herself the best Canadian. And, I guess Carmen Petrovich could say something. Or if you wanted to go in a different direction, some kind of all-American female, the only other option you got is Tyra May Steele, who's been hanging around in Evolve. I don't know if I would do that. That doesn't seem to work out very well. She still has a lot of work to do, and she's already been in WWE for like 3 or 4 years already. So I forgot to mention, since I was talking about Ethan Page, that the Wrestling Observer newsletter claims that the CW is basically looking at Ethan Page as kind of being the franchise player of NXT, that they really like his professionalism and the way he does media. And the guy's been around for 20 years. So yeah, he's kind of got that part down, But that would explain why he's still the North American champion and why they're still trying to do stuff with him. If he's a favorite of the network, it would make perfect sense why he's still doing this. And I was questioning that when he retained the title from Ricky. I was like, why the hell would they do that? Ricky was hot as shit. And then you took the belt off of him and gave it to Ethan Page. Well, now it makes sense. If CW Network is a big fan of Ethan Page, it makes sense why he's continuously getting a push. And I'm surprised they're not pushing for him to go higher. Meanwhile, Ricky Starks, who everybody considered a bigger star than Ethan Page, and everybody had better hopes for, he's stuck in a feud with Jasper Troy and a forever feud with Ethan Page. So Ricky Starks claims that he's on a road to working Mondays and Fridays. He's on the road to becoming the NXT champion, but he's got a target on his back because there's people jealous of him. There's people who got 18 years of experience like Ethan Page who are jealous of him, and people who only got like 18 months of experience like Jasper Troy who are jealous of him. He told Jasper Troy that the Ricky Starks that's coming for him in Philly ain't the same man that he wrestled and lost to or beat by count out the last time. And Ricky Starks feels so directionless. It's sad. You know, WWE has some really big opportunities with both Ricky Starks and Mariah May. And I'm not saying that they dropped the ball because neither one of them's been around for a year yet. Ricky's been around for a little bit longer. And I think he ended up being a bigger fumble for what they've done, considering I think people was ready for him to go to the main roster almost immediately. And even if he wasn't going to go to the main roster immediately, people would have expected for him to be mixing it up with the top guys, for him to be in there with Trick, for him to be in there with Oba, for him to be in there with Javon Evans, not for him to be wrestling Jasper Troy and having an entire series of matches with Ethan Page. Now, they're doing a similar thing with Mariah May, where they basically introduced her kind of at the top, and then, you know, like, I wonder what's going to happen once this thing with Jordynne Grace is over. You know, is she going to settle into the North American title scene like, you know, Ricky Starks did? Or are we going to do the right thing and put her at the top of the card with the NXT women's title? I don't know, but they need to fix what's going on with Ricky Starks because they've really taken the gas out of that guy. And it's very, very, very unfortunate. Hopefully this is it when it comes to this Jasper Troy business and we can go on to bigger and better things. And he is absolutely the guy that I had in mind. One of the guys I had in mind when Obafemi was like, okay, who's next? 'Cause I beat everybody. He hasn't beaten Ricky Starks yet. I think he has beaten Tony D'Angelo. I'm pretty sure Tony D'Angelo beat Obafemi for the North American title, but there was no updates on Tony D'Angelo this week. Of course, Tony D'Angelo got abducted, murdered, or whatever last week on NXT, and they didn't even bother to give us an update this week, which sucks because that's one of the things I was looking forward to. Damn. Anyway, NXT, a whole lot happened. Fun show, but not the best show. Clearly a filler episode of NXT, building for the Philly show, building for Heat Wave. So it is what it is. Next week probably will be better. Let me know what you guys think, though, and I'll talk to you good people later. Be blessed.
No one does it better.